and welcome into Poke the Bear episode 35, the Manny Fernandez episode. This is in honor of Manny Fernandez.
Of course.
In all his glory with the Bruins back. Was it 0809? I think it was.
I want to say, yeah, 08.
Because 0708 was Alex Auld, if people remember that. That was, it's funny when, legend Alex Auld, the best pads in the league. It's funny, when you're a little kid, you remember those Bruins teams or those sports teams like the back of your hand, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I knew those Bruins teams inside and out. But yeah, so I'm F. Marinofski, for those who don't know. That's Connor Ryan of Boston Sports Journal. Connor, how we doing?
Evan, I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I want to say a late happy birthday. When people listen to this, it'll be 2 days later, but your birthday was on Tuesday. And the Bruins won on your birthday. Look at that. Boom. As an unbiased reporter, that must have felt great.
It makes the day easier when you don't have to do the same thing of writing about how they can't score on even strength, which was, I think, the case for the last 2 weeks prior. So nice change of pace. You had another goalie step in, a young player. People get excited for that. Dan Vladar played very, very well. Was very, very excited after the game, which is good to see a guy like him get kind of rewarded for all of his work he's put in the last couple of years. So it was good. It was good. It was a good day to write about the Bruins for sure.
Yeah, and it was fun because, again, it had the new stuff. We always say to people in these dog days of the season, there's a lot of stuff is the same. There's not a lot that changes from game to game. As people know, for a long stretch of games up until Tuesday night, and even still Tuesday night, the story was, the 5-on-5 scoring isn't there. No one's scoring outside the top line. But you got some new stuff. Vladar, you had Oscar Steen. And that's where I want to start. With the farm system, with the P Bruins, with the prospects that they have. It's very talked about that the Bruins don't have an elite farm system. They don't have these guys who they can trade for Jack Eichel. It always goes back to Jack Eichel. By the way, rip Ralph Kruger down in Buffalo.
Maybe we'll give Buffalo a little bit of a spark before they play the Bruins, but I don't know, man. That team's in rough shape. So
yeah, that team is having a tough time. So when it comes to the farm system, one thing we've seen this season is guys coming up and playing really well from Providence in their small amounts of time. Again, we only saw Senyshyn for a little bit. He looked really good on the fourth line. Oscar Steen looked really solid Tuesday night on that third line. Jacob Zaboros held his own. I know he's been a guy who's been down there a really long time, but Dan Vladar stepping in. Is the farm system better than people give it credit for?
I think maybe from a national angle. I mean, I think going into the year, I want to say that they were the 31st ranked farm system by the Athletic. And again, like, this is, let's be candid leading off. Like, it's not like this farm system's like the LA Kings or the Ducks or the Rangers or a few of these other teams where they've got, 3 or 4 guys who seem like they either have, top 6 potential or, top 4D. It's not that, but I think you kind of look across the prospect pool the Bruins have had, and whether it's guys that are up in the league right now, looking at Frederick and Lozon and Zboril, or guys that are right on the cusp of it. It seems like they at the very least roll out quite a few guys that at least can become established NHL regulars. I mean, I think you look at Jeremy Lauzon. Is Jeremy Lauzon, the bona fide top pairing defenseman? I don't think so yet, but like, he's definitely going to be an NHL regular, I think, for his career. I think Zboril is playing into that same role where he can be a consistent NHL defenseman. Frederick seems like he's going to be at least, a bottom 6 regular on the Bruins or another team for a long, long time. You're curious to see what Jack Studnicka has as he continues to round out his game, but I think he's a guy that's going to be in the league for a long time. And then I think, it's not just the fact that you've got kind of this next wave of the Zaborils and the Vakanainens and those guys up in the league right now, but also I think you've still got, a sizable amount of guys that are right on the cusp of making it up here. So, it's funny, you look at Dan Vladar, was far and away the reason why that won that game on Tuesday, but leading into that game, I think everyone just wanted Jeremy Swayman instead, which is kind of a statement on just how good the Bruins young goalie core is that, Dan Vladar has been great down in Providence the last 2 years. But also Jeremy Swayman's been just unconscious right now, right? It's 7-0-0, a 9.42, I think, save percentage. So you look at him, you look at the way they add guys through college free agency, like Jack Ashan, who could be playing on Thursday against Buffalo because Jared Tenori seems like he's going to be out for a long time, unfortunately. He's a guy who's very much fits the mold as a Torrey Krug type player. Nick Wolf, who's a bigger guy, kind of is like the next Adam McQuaid, I think. You kind of look at just the way he plays. Those guys beat you. You look all around, like, are they guys that you can pencil in right now and be like, all right, this guy is going to be a star player? Maybe Swayman fits the mold of being a potential number one, just how good he's up at the NHL level. We'll have to see. But regardless of maybe if the ceiling isn't the highest for a few guys, the Bruins at least are consistently churning out, I think, players with the floor of being dependable, solid NHLers. And I think there's value in that. It's rather you at least replenish some areas of your lineup with your farm system than everyone either striking out or taking a long time to develop. So again, are they top 10, top 15, maybe like, are they a farm system ranked up there? No, but I think they're definitely higher than, some people giving them credit for. Cause look at Tuesday's game. You desperately needed to win against a good Pittsburgh team. And the two guys that helped you out the most were Trent Frederick and Dan Vladar. So the younger players are contributing to this team for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing is Stadnicka. We didn't even mention Stadnicka, who, if he just finished a few more plays, would have a bunch more goals this year. I mean, the guy is desperately needs a goal. I think he's, people are kind of a little maybe underwhelmed by his start, but again, like, just comes down to finishing those plays, and his stat sheet is completely different. But you hit on it. Like, again, they're churning out dependable NHLers, and again, as you said, these guys are not top trade chips. What's funny is they had Ryan Lindgren a few years ago. So as much as you get to see him every 8 times a season right now, by the way, he's been good in New York. He's been very solid.
He has been paired with the greatest defenseman of all time.
Yes.
Even Bobby Orr has said that he hasn't come close to the greatness of Adam Fox. But yes, Ryan Lindgren. Every time you watch Ryan Lindgren play, I'm always like, that guy would be a really good Bruin.
Great Bruin. That's a prototypical Bruin though. Like that. Like he's like Trent Frederick, but on the blue line. And I think that would have been an interesting thing to watch here in Boston. They could have used that, but again, credit, they traded for Rick Nash. They thought they had something there. So I guess you can't really hit on that. So before, when we plan out the show, I didn't even think of this, but now that we've hit the midseason point of this weird season, you said, let's revisit our predictions from the beginning of the year. And I wrote a story for CLNS, 10 bold predictions. I know we done it in podcasts. I know you did a predictions piece over at BSJ. We can go back and forth on predictions we had. We can do the ones we missed the most on. We can kind of hit on ones that maybe we did nail. So I'm interested to hear. Give me one you did that was good. We'll start from a positive perspective. We'll start from a positive angle. We'll pump our own tires for a bit, and then we'll deflate them.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'll go with two quick ones that I think are looking pretty good right now. One, which I guess you could say was pretty bold, is that Charlie McAvoy, Ghana's Norris Trophy consideration, which I think is absolutely the case this year. With Tenori out on Tuesday, McAvoy, I think, had 30 minutes of ice time in that win over Pittsburgh. And again, we've talked about it plenty of times, but it's not just the fact that McAvoy is eating plenty of minutes and, playing very, very good defense. It's also, I mean, he's generating 5-on-5 offense. He's been fantastic in just about every area of this game. I mean, if McAvoy, who, knock on wood, has been one of the few guys on the blue line that's avoided injury, if McAvoy missed an extended stretch, this team would be in deep shit. So,
deep shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he's absolutely in the running for that. Is he the favorite? Probably not, especially where I think he needs to kind of build up that rep, on the national scale a little bit more. But I think Charlie McAvoy is absolutely garnering Norris Trophy consideration this year, and I think he should be in the running for it if he continues to play at this level. And then another one that's looking pretty good. I said Trent Frederick settles into a fourth line role by the spring, which maybe I'm wrong actually, because he might be just a third line guy because he's been bumped up to lineup when needed. He's everything that I think Bruins fans have expected, but been even better in terms of just his overall production. I mean, with that goal on Tuesday, he has 4 goals in his last 12 games, of which 3 of those are game winners. So he's also kind of the new Sean Corelli that he's, finding the right time to score these goals. But yeah, I think in terms of settling into a role, there was plenty of guys. I think they were vying for fourth line spots to open the year, whether you had the regular guys like Corrali and Wagner, you had Paul Lindholm, you had Carson Kuhlman, Zach Senyshyn. I think Frederick, people were expecting it, but you still had a lot of guys kind of in front of him, or at least, stuck with him in that depth chart. And right away, he absolutely, made a statement right from the first game. I settled into that role, and I don't think he's coming out of the lineup anytime soon. So I think that one was one that probably a lot of people saw coming, but it's good to see Frederick has really established himself in his first full year in the NHL.
Yeah, no, those are 2 good ones. I actually had Charlie McAvoy becomes one of the league's elite defensemen. So that I think is kind of falls under the same thing you had. I also had another one. I'll do the Matt Grzelcyk one first. I said Matt Grzelcyk sees a large jump in points. Now, he's been hurt for a little bit. He has 8 points in 14 games, which is pretty good. But I will say he's had a large jump in responsibility. He's done a great job. So I will give myself that one. I will say that even though it's not a large jump in points, he's had a large jump in responsibility and he's done a really good job of it. So I'll give myself that one. Because when you look at the rest, some of the rest of these, I definitely need every point I can get. One that I did get right: left side will need to be bolstered during the season. That was one I had, and that is true. That we saw coming from the minute Chara left, the minute Krug left. It was they need to bolster that left side, and that has held true. They definitely need to, even if Zaboral, Grzelcyk, and Lozon were not injured and playing great, I would still say you need another left shot defenseman. So that was a good one as well. So I'll give myself that one. Now, as for stuff that was fringe for me, tandem of Tuukka Rask and Yaroslav Halak propel Bruins to second in the East Division. It still could happen. It hasn't really yet. There was a stretch at the beginning of the season where Rask wasn't amazing. Rask is hurt now. Maybe it's Vladar. Maybe Vladar and Swayman take over and they propel the Bruins second in the East Division.
The new Jordan Binnington. Hopefully.
Do you know how many times I've wanted to tweet, by the way, when people are saying like, oh, the Bruins are so close to falling out of a playoff spot? Do you know how many times I want to say the Blues were in last place in December of 2019, or December of 2018, January 2019? But I know I'll get killed for it. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to step on that.
That would be quite the story if Vladar and Swayman became the new Binnington, which would be pretty cool, but also better because Swayman and Binnington aren't assholes like Jordan Binnington. So
Swayman and Vladar, you mean, not Swayman and Binnington. You mean Swayman and Vladar.
Oh, yeah. Swayman and Vladar are not jabronis like Jordan Binnington is. So
yes. I'll give myself this: Jack Studnicka battles Anders Bjork for the left side of Charlie Coyle. That's true. That was right.
Been in the running.
That was in the running. Jack Studnicka impresses in David Pastrnak's absence. Not really. That didn't happen. That was not a big thing that happened. And I also had Trent Frederick gets a shot at the fourth line. So I was right. I mean, he did get a shot.
He did.
He got a shot.
He did.
He got a shot.
You can't argue with it.
Can't argue with that. Now, what were some you had that were fringe that are like, neither here nor there?
Yeah, so I mean, I had one where entering the final week of play, Bruins will be vying for the top spot in the revamped East Division, which again could happen.
Could happen.
They've lost some ground, obviously. The Islanders are going to be right up there. The Capitals are. Islanders just lost Anders Lee for the entire year with a torn ACL, which is a bad hit for them. But again, they're not out of it yet. The Bruins, you have to imagine by April, they've added some pieces that are going to help them along. You hope that guys get healthy, guys break out of whatever scoring malaise they've been stuck in, like, DeBrusk and Coyle. So that one's not totally off. They're still in the picture. They're still in the playoffs as of right now. They've been helped out a lot by Philly being quite bad. So that's helped them out quite a bit from this slump they've been on. So I'm not ready to rule that one out completely, but not looking great right now. And then another one that was kind of fringe in that one side was correct and one side was drastically wrong. I said Bruins embrace a youth movement on defense, but Zdeno Chara re-ups just ahead of camp. That was not true. That did not happen at all. That was far from the case. In fact, that was a 50% correct prediction, which technically would be failing. So that was a failed prediction because sure enough, this was posted back in December, and Zdeno Chara signed with the Washington Capitals. So that did not happen. However, there has been a youth movement on defense. Some of that has been, I think, part of the plan, but also some of it has been the fact that the T-Core has not been able to be healthy at all, which is why on Thursday we could have a game in which Zaboral and Jack Ashan, who was playing college hockey last year and now very well could be in a game. He could be in the lineup, which I don't think many people predicted, even though I think Jack Ashan's going to be a very, very good player. I don't think people saw this happening this soon. So it's definitely been a youth movement. Some of it's been expected. A lot of it has not been, but that's kind of the cards that the Bruins have been dealt this year.
Yes. So those are good fringe ones. Those are really, you had them half right. I'll give it to you if it's half right. Like it's not easy. People think, oh, it's so easy to predict these things. No, it isn't. Like so much stuff changes, and you will see that in our next couple of predictions. This one was fringe, but not really fringe. It didn't really come to fruition. Jacob Zaboral and Urho Vakanainen fall short in their chance at full-time work in Boston. Zaboral obviously he's done a great job, or he's been good enough to stay in the lineup. He's also just hasn't gotten injured long-term yet, knock on wood. And Urho Vakanainen, I would say, has fallen short at full-time work. Hasn't really kind of been the guy they hoped. So maybe I kind of hit there. I guess I'll give myself that. But here are the two doozies. And one of them, a lot of people said as a prediction as well. And the other, no one said. I was the only one to say it, and it just completely fell short. My number one wrong prediction was Andre Kasha becomes the right wing David Krejci is needed since 2014. That's tough.
Well, he was to open the year.
He was. He was to open the year. I guess that counts for something. But it didn't last much longer. Unfortunate because of injury. It wasn't because he played terrible. It was injury.
Yeah.
But they're still looking for a right wing for David Krejci. They're looking under couches, beds, and all that stuff. So that was a wrong one. That was wrong. But again, I guess that's injury. So, you that's tough because again, it looked like it was going to come out to be that. But when it comes to bad predictions, my friend actually tweeted this at me and was like, what the hell? And I was going to reply. I was going to quote it and make it kind of publicize it a little bit, but I felt weird because it was my friend and people could see that we were following each other. So I was like, they're going to think that I staged this. So I guess this will be, my burner account. Jake DeBrusk leads the Bruins in goals this season. There's no way around that one. And I actually said first graph, this is by far the hottest take of the 10 in this piece. So allow me to explain. And I'll explain it. My thought process was simple. He got a bridge deal. So it was a prove me deal. He was going to be motivated. He also was very open about how he was very inconsistent last season and he wanted to be better. He was a year older. And I thought, you know what? With Pastrnak out to begin the year, I think Marchand was out. No, he wasn't out to begin the year. Marchand was supposed to be when I wrote this piece, but he ended up coming back to start season. I thought with those guys out, with kind of a revamped Krejci, with Kasha on the right, DeBrusk kind of motivated. I was like, DeBrusk is going to burst onto the scene, score 25 goals, lead the Bruins in goals. I was wrong. He has, what does he have? 2 this year? So he has 2 goals. So there's still time. There's still time. There's still time.
Don't let him get hot.
He's
already very mad based on how he was for the game where he scored his last goal. So maybe he's got another patented hot streak on tap. But hey, the stars were aligned. You kind of drew it up. I think a lot of people thought this was going to be his breakout year, and has not been the case so far.
I took a leap of faith. Hey, when DeBrusk gets traded to the Predators and leads them in goals, I would like to have that count for this. So Just saying. All right, now let's hear some of your bad predictions, the ones that didn't pan out.
So I have one where even without Torrey Krug, the Bruins finished with a top 5 power play. That has not been the case. In fact, you can make the case that in the last month, the power play has been flat out sucky. They've been really bad. I think right now they are 12th in the league in power play percentage, and that I think has been helped out by a very, very strong stat from them. I think they were top 5, top 3 for the first, I want to say 3 weeks of the season, but since then,
Remember when they were good?
yeah. Remember when you had a 5-minute power play and you were guaranteed to get at least a goal out of it instead of
Oh
like
yeah,
fumbling the puck, which is what happened in the last game.
almost
And
give
I
up a
think that's
shorthanded
been,
goal.
yeah, I think that's factored quite a bit. People talk about the even strength scoring, and of course, we talked about this all the time. They got to fix that, right? Because you're not going to win the playoffs without that. But at the very least, I think what you've seen in years past, why the Bruins have been able to avoid extended, inconsistent, stretches like they're in right now, is that even when the first line was contained at 5-5, when you had other guys not pulling their weight, you at least had your kind of your get out of jail free card in the power play, right? That even if it wasn't going good, you still, if you got 5 chances on the power play, you're scoring probably at least 2 of them, right? Or you got a 5-minute power play as they had on Tuesday, you're going to make the team pay for that. And that just hasn't been the case. And there's far too many times you've seen this year where it's not just, there's plenty of times you got a good power play shift and just things don't go your way, or, you miss a one-timer, or a guy makes a great save, or you got a clutch block. There's been too many times the last 3 weeks, month, that you've had them struggle with entries. You've had them be too slow with gathering the puck up high and struggle with the pressure. You've had just situations where, I think PK units are doing a good job of taking away Bergeron at the bumper and avoiding those seam passes, and they kind of don't really know what to do, right? They haven't seen a lot of good low to highs. You haven't seen a lot of pucks get through. So, yeah, it's funny. If you told people, I think going into the year, people, especially people who didn't like Torrey Krug, that you'd miss him, I think, more than you've missed Chara this year in terms of just what their roles are. It's kind of much been the case. I mean, again, he wasn't the only conduit as to why that power play was so good. You still got a lot of pieces there, but so far it seems like they're just missing a gear, because kind of that crisp passing, that execution that I think all of us are used to seeing, just hasn't been there this year. So I think that one's one that right now is looking a little bit tough. Maybe they bounce back, they solve some things, but and they should, because they still got plenty of great personnel there, but so far has not looked too good.
Well, it's funny because at the beginning of the season, the first like 15 games, we were all like, "Oh, have you noticed no Chara or no Krug? Like they've been fine back there. They've been good." And then kind of we got to that point where it was like, "All right, now it's the dog days of the season. Let's see if this holds up." And it really hasn't. The back end's had some hiccups. They've obviously had a lot of injury. Again, Kevin Miller's been out for a while. Lozon, Carlo, like got injuries everywhere. So there's that. Do you have any others that were rough predictions?
Yeah, the last 2 I got. One is Craig Smith wins the 7th player award, which I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I think as much as I think people were excited for Craig Smith to come in, I was very excited because I thought he was probably one of the more underrated forwards.
Well, the
so
numbers
far
pointed that way. Like the stat,
yeah.
like this isn't like you picked like some rando as an underrated. Like you had good reason to believe Craig Smith was going to work out really well here, and he still could, by the way. But yeah, so far not
it's
really.
It's not happened. I mean, 1 goal in 18 games now, not ideal for a guy who usually likes to put the puck on net. So that has not manifested yet. I think right now the favorite's right, Frederick. It's got to be Frederick, right?
Oh yeah, no, I don't think there's a question about it, because I think on defense, like maybe Lozon, but then he got injured, so that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I feel like
It's
Frederick's
Frederick.
becoming
It's
a
Frederick.
fan. Yeah, so I will amend that prediction. And then the last one, which is the final one I had, is that the Bruins will face off against the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Stanley Cup final, which might be half true, because right now I don't think the Bruins right now are playing like a Stanley Cup team. Toronto very well might be. We'll see what happens when they get out of the tomato can division they're in. They're done beating up the
Canucks.
Vancouver Canucks and the Ottawa Senators and some of these other teams with bootleg defenses that they're, landing punches against.
The
But,
Flames.
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens when they play Carolina or Tampa or someone in another division or someone out west, Vegas. But yeah, I mean, I think right now they're looking like a pretty good team. They're better than they were. They've addressed, I think, some of their flaws. I think Brody's helped out quite a bit. Their defense is a lot better. Of course, everyone knows they can score a bunch of goals. So they're looking pretty good. Bruins have potential. They've got to start stringing together some wins. Hopefully, playing Buffalo will let them to get on a little bit of a streak here, or at least they can score more than 1-2 goals a game. Start feeling good about themselves a little bit and going on from there. But right now, that one is maybe more of a hope than a definite prediction, because it'd be awesome if they played the Maple Leafs in the Stanley Cup final. But will it actually happen? Right now, there's quite a few good teams right in front of them. I mean, you look at the way Carolina and a few of these other teams are playing right now. Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. They've got Kucherov apparently back, even though now I don't know what cap sorcery they're going to do when they bring Kucherov back, because they avoided cap hell by he somehow gets that injury. But anywho, yeah, that was my probably the boldest prediction, is that Maple Leafs Bruins in the Stanley Cup final.
What would be more obnoxious, the Canadians winning a cup or the Maple Leafs winning a cup?
Maple Leafs.
You think?
It's there's the history, but no, the Toronto, the media would literally lose their minds if that happens. So
I feel like Montreal media is bad too. We just kind of forget about it because they haven't really been that great in past years. They're still pretty bad too.
Yeah, but
Toronto media is horrendous.
Yeah. So
I don't mean horrendous like bad. I mean like, you know what I mean? Like obnoxious with, oh my God, the Leafs. Like that would just be like.
And Maple Leafs fans they're easily the worst ones to deal with on Twitter. They at least like throw stuff back at you pretty good, but it's not like St. Louis Blues fans are the worst. They were not good at like chirping back at us. But
well, it's funny because I don't think people realize, like, you and I will tweet GIFs of stuff, and then for days we'll have people fighting in the mentions. Like we'll just have people going back and forth for like days,
or it's constant. I try when I post stuff, especially if it's like a hit or something, to not editorialize it or something. I let kind of the video speak for itself, and you make your predictions on what it is. That I think is that way. Leave it up for interpretation, which of course doesn't do anything, right? I think it's like the the meme of the lady yelling at the cat. That's everyone yelling at us for like posting just a video without any commentary on it. It's like, no, I'm just putting that out there, guys. It's
want to see it?
Yeah, exactly. So, but of course, then you got maybe you ever play hockey, bro? Or stuff like that. I don't know why Maple Leafs fans sound like that, but
someone replied. Yeah. There was I when I tweeted the Frederick getting hit from behind into the bench thing the other day. Someone replied like, they said like, well, in a sport where there's fighting, what do you expect? And they got ratioed. Like people went at them. Like that was not like you clearly was a person who was not a hockey guy at all, and people just killed him in the mentions and the replies to it. And like I think that tweet, I can't find it right now, but the reply had like 3 likes and like a bunch of replies, and the replies to it had like 90 likes. So it was this whole big thing where they were just dunking on this dude for like just totally misinterpreting hockey, which was kind of funny. I appreciated that. But yes, no, people and Flyers fans too are bad. Flyers fans are also not very fun. But at least they have Gritty. At least kind of Gritty kind of smooths them over in a sense. At least Gritty, all-knowing Gritty kind of comes and fixes everything. But at any rate, before I let you go, is there anything that the people should be looking for over at Boston Sports Journal?
Yeah, we'll be doing a deeper dive on these predictions, probably up by the weekend, just revisiting them and looking at some of the stats behind what predictions were right and wrong. So we'll be looking at that. We'll be breaking down. It could be an interesting game on Thursday where you could see Jack Ashon get a look up in the NHL. So plenty of interesting stuff to kind of break down. It should be fun to see how they hold up against the Sabres. It won't be fun if they lose one of these games. That would be really bad. Yeah, we have plenty of stuff over at BSJ. So subscribe over at bostonsportsjournal.com. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do that at ConnorRyan_93.
Go do all that. You can go watch future Bruin Taylor Hall on Thursday night. This will be crazy.
If he even plays after taking that that slap shot to the face. That was scary.
Ooh, that was
Yeah.
wild. And then he came back. He played the rest. He came
did
back,
come
later in the game. Got to give him credit there. Got to give him credit.
Yep.
But at any rate, this has been Poke the Bear episode 35. That's Connor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofski. You Poke the Bear listeners. Have an amazing rest of your day.